Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Line Change, the NHL betting podcast from the Action Network. My name is Michael Lieboff, and joining me today to break down Wednesday, October the 18th, two-game NHL slate. And we'll talk a little futures. We're going to use these Wednesday episodes, especially when they're light, kind of take a step back and give some more big picture takes on about trends, futures, etc. But we'll also obviously talk about the games. There's two of them, Wings and Pens, Sens and Caps. I will start with the Caps and Sens. Tim Kalinowski, Nick Martin joining me. I think I like Ottawa here, Nick. The Capitals got a win against Calgary. It was very Calgary Flames 2022-2023 of them. Not only did they tilt the ice, it was 13-0 in shots before the Caps got on the board. They also found a way to lose in overtime or shootout. Evgeny Kuznetsov pissed everybody off. I think I'll play the puck line here. I think if Ottawa does win, it feels like it should be a rout. The Caps' defensive numbers are just really poor out of the gate.
Yeah, the Caps look awful. It's been bad. I think they're going to be better. I still think they're going to be better than they've shown. But the opening
And the
numbers
goaltending gives
here,
them a decent floor. Like
yeah,
Kemper was really good.
he was excellent. Loved the little rock the baby Sally after the shootout win. Also, I know I'm on an island here as a Caps fan because I love the fact that Kuzi he's 10 for 11 or whatever it is with that move. So no Caps fans ever going to complain because he's just scores. It's automatic. When are these goalies going to figure it out? It's the exact same move every single time. Like, stop crying about it.
Did
But
Sorokin stop him last year? I feel like the Islanders beat the
I
Caps in a
think it was a
shootout last
post.
year.
I think it was a post that stopped him. So
Okay,
maybe.
maybe it
But
was
anyways,
Sorokin's post.
yeah, I think the Sens seem pretty legitimate. We'll probably touch on that a little bit in the futures area again. The numbers kind of got crushed quick. Like, this opened minus 150 everywhere, and that already got bet down pretty good. But I still think it's Sens or nothing here. Like, you don't want to take on the Caps at this
Yeah.
number. I think the over could also be a decent look. Like, the Sens should play pretty high scoring games. I still believe in the Caps offensively more than they've shown, even if two of the lines have looked pretty horrific. And they did shake things up. The other one that I kind of like, I think Tom Wilson in the prop market is a guy I want to target. He had a really good finish to the game last night, hit the post. I thought he started to get going. He's still one of the ones I have faith in out of the Caps' top stars. I think he's going to show pretty well. He really got going at the end of last season, and he got full off season to get ready for this year. So I still want to target Wilson. They're putting with Strome, who I also think has shown really well, which splits up the one line that has actually looked good. So kind of concerning there, but I think targeting Wilson to score or a point is an angle that I like from a prop perspective.
Yeah, so the Sens now are minus 166. The Capitals sitting plus 140, and the total is at 6.5. Wilson looks like he'll be playing with Strome and Ovechkin. Tim, you on the Sens, the Caps, passing overs? What are you thinking here?
I was on the Sens the second I saw Nick Martin track the bet. I instantly hit tail on the Good Old Action app, and then to hear you on it as well. I am all in. This short podcast got even shorter with that hard-hitting analysis from me.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy one, right? Like it's been one-way traffic for Washington on defense, it seems like. So we'll see just where the floor is for the Caps at some point. The other game is projected to be a lot closer. Penguins are a minus 130, road favorite in Detroit, plus 110, and the total here is also 6.5. Looks like we could get to 7 with the way the juice is trending. I like the Red Wings here. I don't think that's too surprising because I do think I'm maybe lower on Pittsburgh than most other people are, and maybe proven wrong on that, but I do find them to be still a little leaky. Really good defensive effort against Washington, but as Nick said, that Capitals team might not be very good. The other two games against Calgary and Chicago, not all that encouraging, I don't think, defensively. And that's what I'm looking for with Pittsburgh. And for Detroit, like that top line with DeBrincat, Larkin, and Lucas Raymond, they look really good. And that's a team that's been crying out for scoring. Don't know how much I trust that defense either as we go along in the season, but their numbers last year at least were passable defensively. They played very low event games, especially down the stretch. Huso looks like we'll get the start. Reimer just pitched a shutout, so who knows? But I don't really think that there's a huge difference between those two goalies as we speak right now. But yeah, I think at plus 110, I still like Detroit at home, Nick.
Yeah, I didn't love a side here. I'm still higher on you that with the Penguins, but I like the over. I don't really have any faith in Detroit's blue line. I think it's going to be a little messy back there, but as you say, their top line's looking good. Their depth scoring looks a little better. Still love our guy Sprong too. That's a
Yeah.
great pickup for their third line. And then the Penguins, all their stars look so good. Like if Malkin's going to play like this, that offense is going to absolutely roll. And I think Brian Rust is a really good bounce back candidate. If you're playing fantasy, he should be owned in your league, and he's a guy to look at as well. So I think this early season, like we've talked about how it's going to roll over 6.5 pretty consistently. If you can get this game at a decent number for a total of 6.5, as you said, it might get to 7 tomorrow, but hopefully not, because I would like for all the listeners to have a chance to bet it at 6.5. But yeah, it should be hopefully a pretty high scoring, high event game.
Tim, anything here? Wings and the Penguins.
I think the line's pretty bang on. I'm not really in love with. I don't want to bet on either team, so it's going to be either the total, which I don't know if I love, Nick. Even if it gets to 7, I just you have to pass at some point, right? You have to say no bet. I think that this might be no action for me. I think I'll probably be looking some shot props, Red Wings. Nick, I'll be looking for your blessing on those, but I don't want to put money on either of these teams. The Red Wings aren't a big enough dog for my liking, and the Penguins I don't really love as a favorite.
Yeah, and the 7, like totals moving from 6.5 to 7. It's kind of obvious to say, but it's a huge deal. Like,
Yeah.
if it's something like the Sabres game today, because I'm still seeing picks flowing in on the Sabres now that, or the game to go over now that it's like 7 at even money. That is a humongous difference compared to 6.5 when you're talking about cashing on 4-3 and cashing on 5-2. And now you're not winning on either of those scores. And there's a lot of situations where, 7's like obviously still going to be the most common way you win with the game going over. So not winning your bet on that is significantly different. So people might underthink that. I think it's the same thing in the NFL with yards, right, Tim? Like you see it move a certain amount, and I think casual people forget like what percent of the bet that actually is. Like if it moves from whatever 21 to 27.5, like that's a huge difference when you actually look at it in the percentage of the time you're going to hit. So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind early on when we're seeing so many of these 6.5s that are getting to 7 by game time.
I'd also want to just jump in and say, when we're betting totals, I'm going to be keeping a list unless some other publication already does it, of teams that are pulling the goalie down 2 goals. I think that is you have to know that we saw it a couple times in the first week of the season here. Like 5 and over, I want to make sure that the dog is going to pull that goalie down 2 goals, or at least that's on the table. So
yeah, I mean, down 2 is pretty consistent if the time calls for it too. I think it's another huge thing if you're going to track that I'd look at is what time teams are doing it at as well.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely quite relevant.
Yep. All right, on to the Futures Lounge here. Just kind of take a step back, give a big picture view of the board. I don't think any of us are going to sit here and change our tune on teams in terms of like Stanley Cup futures or division odds or whatever. But we said this during our preview episodes when it came to the Jack Adams Award, which is Coach of the Year, that bookmakers are slow to adjust that market particularly. So the strategy I'm going to say to talk about Derek Lalonde, who's the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. Let's say the Red Wings do get out to like a decent start here. They look better, I think, than people maybe thought. They're 2-1, and they do play Pittsburgh on Wednesday night. And I'm just using this as an example. If the Red Wings get off to that 6-2-1 start, rather than just rushing to go bet them to make the playoffs or whatever, take a peek at the Jack Adams odds, because Lalonde is still sitting at 25-1, and I still think that if 2 weeks from now we're talking about the Red Wings having a decent start in this Atlantic Division, allowing a team to pick up the pieces late with Tampa and Buffalo maybe underperforming, Florida underperforming, rather than going to those Red Wings odds to make the playoffs or whatever. Take a look there. He's definitely someone I'll have an eye on, along with the gentleman you're going to speak about, Nick, someone we bet last year.
Yeah, so DJ Smith was one of the picks we gave out heading into the year, and it's a perfect example of what you're saying, where they're a little slow to update this, because I would say even the Senators being 2-1 helps a little bit, and he's still 25-1, which is exactly the number we locked in heading into the year. Specifically because, like, when I lock this in, the most concerning part of the season is going to be this start without Norris and the Pinto at the same time, right? It's going to be so much better when either one of them gets back, and at least the center depth is significantly better. So they've shown well. Same kind of thing. They could win tomorrow versus Washington. You probably don't need to have this prior to that game, but if they come out 3-1 there, that's a pretty good start. I'm not sold on the division. I think they can definitely pick off some wins. We've seen Tampa's kind of struggling with their situation. I'm still relatively low on the Bruins compared to the market without Patrice Bergeron. I mean, they're still going to be really good, but I think there's more of a world where Ottawa's just finishing right above them than people are considering. And then Toronto, like, they get so much credit early on, but I think last night versus Chicago opened some people's eyes, but it's definitely possible that team's just a lot worse defensively. Like, Klingberg looks horrific. I don't know how he was getting credit for a couple of cheap assists in the first couple games. Like,
I can tell
let
you
me
why.
get out there and slide the puck to Matthews and Marner. Right? Like, I don't know. Everyone thought his biggest problem would be defending, and his defendings looked horrible. So I'm a little unsold on Toronto. Like, they obviously still deserve to be the division favorite, but I don't think they're going to just go out here and completely dominate. So those are all good avenues for Ottawa to finish with a good point total and get in this race. I still like their chances to make the playoffs, and hopefully they can get Norris back here soon and really help out on that front.
Tim, anything?
Yeah, I was gonna go through through the futures here, the market Francesa style, but I guess I'm not gonna do that. But the Arizona Coyotes, they're still plus 470 to make the playoffs. They've had a great looking first two games. They can hang with just about anyone, and it's a bet I already have at 5-1. It's at plus 470. Again, I'm sorry if you came here and all you hear is Arizona love, but again, if you know that by now and you keep coming, thank you. But yeah, Arizona plus 470.
Hey, they look good.
Looked really good.
Yeah, they're
and a
playing
tough
well.
start to the schedule too. Like, they could come back home, so they play the Islanders on Tuesday night, then they're in St. Louis on Thursday night. They come back to the Mullet 2-2. That's really an impressive road trip, especially
For
because
sure.
the Rangers game 2-1 loss could have won either way.
Yeah,
The
I
only
agree.
other
I
one else,
was just gonna say, I think I'm a little capped out on the Yotes now, depending
yeah,
on what number you're gonna get. There's still like some 35-1s on Trigny, then I'd do it. But there's
40.
also
There's a
sites
40
at
out there too.
15-1. Yeah, so if you're still getting 40, I think you got to do
Yeah.
that. And then the other coach
Um,
I'll throw out there, and these Jack Adams markets are all over the place, so hunt around for sure, because definitely even more than most that matters. But I still think we like the Canucks on here. Talkett's out there at 25-1. Same kind of thing. If they keep showing well and that number holds, that's one I'm definitely
just
circling.
wheel the board. Just wheel the Jack Adams board, baby.
It works. They're
Yeah,
long enough
I
numbers,
know,
right? Like, it
absolutely.
seems like we're just throwing out half the coaches, but it's been really good to us the last
Yeah,
3 years. So
absolutely. Uh, the last one I'll mention just really briefly is uh, Elias Pettersson off and running. He's 12-1 to win the Selke. Realistically, that's probably the only award he can win, unless McDavid truly is.
he could win the Hart. I'm
Yeah,
still
I mean,
hopeful.
it's two
Shatter
games
my
ahead.
dream.
I know, but he could, and like, I'm not like, he's still. I feel at 100-1 we liked him, and if it's still out there at 100-1, go for it. But
I
I
know what
think
you
the
mean, though.
Selke, yeah,
Like, the
Selke.
reality is it's like probably McDavid
It's one
and
of those
also
situations
Matthews.
where, like, you want to just at least get paid off a little bit for being like, this is probably a top 5 player in the NHL this season, and the most likely situation that for that to happen would be the Selke to me. Anyways, that's it for a nice brief episode of Line Change. We'll be back for a really deep slate on Thursday morning. I think we got a dozen games going there. So be sure to check that one out. For Nick Martin, Tim Kalinowski, good luck with all your bets on Wednesday, and we will talk to you tomorrow.